Autumn Nations Cup, the final round, sees Georgia and Fiji match up. They both finished bottom of their groups. Quite different manners in which they reached those groups, you would have to say. Fiji's record, and I will go over the squads in a minute, I'll put them in the description, the recent history, which there's only a limited number of samples, but they've got no wins, no losses. I mean, technically they lost 3 games 28-0 because they had some COVID cases among their camp, which means these guys have been in isolation. Some of these guys have been sick and recovering. They've been cleared to play, which is great news for them, because for them to get organised to come into the tournament and then not get to play would be really tragic. There's so much talent in that Fijian team. But yeah, they are clear to play just this one game, and it's against Georgia. Georgia did play in all 3 of their games. They lost pretty heavily to England, and then they lost to both Wales and Ireland as well. But you could kind of feel as the tournament progressed, Georgia sharpening up, getting a bit better, and I think this experience will definitely do the Georgian guys a world of good. It was quite shocking to see prior to this competition, Georgia had only played England twice and Wales twice and Ireland, I think, 4 times and whatnot, despite the fact that geographically they're pretty close countries. I know the same could be said of other regions as well, but I just reckon it's good for the Georgians to get some game time. And I mean, apart from the game where they got done by England, but everyone's getting beaten by England at the moment, they've looked pretty good. They're still not quite there, but not too far away. In terms of the squads, Georgia have kept things a little bit different, but mostly the same. They've had to make one big change with an injury enforcement. The front row is still Nariashvili, Mamukashvili, and Gigashvili. These guys played the majority of the minutes, I think, last weekend, the week before. Jaiani is still there in the second row. Mikautadze is back after recovering from a rib injury he sustained in their second game, the one against Wales, and he'd only just come back from injury, so he's one of the experienced guys, a big unit. Good to see him play. Good for me as well. I'm actually getting more familiar with the Georgian guys, seeing them play week in, week out. I absolutely love it. Giorgadze has come into the 23 in the number 6 jersey. That's Otar Giorgadze. Saghinadze moves to 7 from 6, and Jalaghonia moves from 7 to 8 because Beka Giorgadze has got a knee injury and he is out. He's the one that was in some of the complaints and whatnot on Twitter about people hearing him screaming with his knee injury. It was pretty horrific, and he is, I think, probably their best player. So that's tragic news that he's out for a while, and we wish him a speedy recovery. But the other guys are no slouches, so it'll be good to see some other guys get some game time as well, because I think Beka Giorgadze basically played every minute up until that point. Lobzhanidze and Abzhandadze continue the 9-10 combo, and I think that is the crucial one that gets experience at this level, because running the game against a really organized, fit, professional defense is something these guys need practice at, and they're getting that week in, week out in this tournament. Sharikadze continues on a captain. Kveseladze is still there at center outside him in the 13 jersey. That's the 12-13 combo, and he scored the try of the week last week, hands down. It was proper magic, so let's hope we can get a bit more of that. The experience of Todua comes in on the left wing for Matiashvili, and Tabutsadze, Matiashvili continue on at 14 and 15. So mostly the changes are around that back row, and then the one change on the wing. So, and plus Mikautadze being back. So it's not real wholesale changes for Georgia. The bench, Bregvadze, Gigashvili, Sharikadze, Giorgi, yeah, and they've still got Tabutsadze, the youngster Nariashvili is there as the outside back replacement. I forget how old he is. He's either like 19 or 20. So again, more experience for him. The Fiji side, it's a bit crazy because prior to this tournament, I would have said, man, I know a lot more of these Fijian guys than I do the Georgians. The Georgian guys I've been getting more familiar with as this tournament's progressed, watching them 3 weeks in a row. And then the Fijian side has got 9 guys on debut at international level. And there's a fair few I don't know that I've ever seen play, which is good. good to see these guys get a bit of a leg up at international level, and I'm keen to see how they do. Ravai Matavesi, that's Sam and Doge. Is it Doge or Doge? That's the tight head prop. That's your front row. Those guys, at least Ravai and Matavesi for me, are pretty familiar. Ratuva is there at lock alongside Mayanavo. No, Mayanavu. I wrote it by hand, and my handwriting is making things worse. He's on debut. Johnny Dyer, who's played for the Drua before, he's on debut at 6. Kunavula is a former 7s guy. He's on debut at 7. I don't know that I would have seen both these guys play before because I don't watch much NRC, if any, and I don't watch a lot of 7s. Tui Suida, the big man from London Irish, is there at number 8. Now the backs is where you've got a heck of a lot of talent, man. Like world class. Compete with any side talent. You got Frank Lamani and Ben Volavola, 9 and 10. Good 19 combo without being kind of world beaters. Like Ben Volavola can be pretty frustratingly inconsistent, but on his day, very good. Botia and Randradra, 13 and 12. So 12 and 13. Randradra as captain. Then you got Namani Nandolo, Joshua Tuisova, and Kini Murimurivalo as your outside backs. Now, goodness me, that's up with any team in the world. Absolute class in that back line. The forwards are no slouches, but just there's a lot of those kind of experienced guys that aren't there for this one. So, like Wangani Borotu, I think someone said in the preview video a long time ago, he's retired. You know, Vili Mata is not there. There's loads of good Nakarawa, you know, heaps of good Fijian forwards who you're kind of used to seeing, but good to see guys get their first run. Now, I do find this a fascinating one because Georgia's played 3 weeks in a row. They've been getting better. Fiji's been in isolation and not having an easy time of it. But look at that backline. Who do you pick for this one? Are the Georgian forwards just going to be that sharper, having played all these games? Will the Fijian guys kind of let loose like the Argentinians did on the New Zealanders after their long, you know, period with no games? Will Fiji suffer from having so many guys on their first run, or will that allow them to really unleash? I don't know. The bookies have got Fiji by 13 and Rugby Forecast algorithm by 5. The last time they played, they've only played 4 times, and it's 3-1 in Fiji's favour. The last time they played was the 2019 Rugby World Cup, and Fiji gave Georgia a bit of a hiding. It was 45 points to 10. That was a pretty disappointing one from the Georgians, and the Fijian guys just really let loose. Will we see that again? Remember, it's been played at Murrayfield. I don't know what the weather forecast is, but if it's wet, maybe that bodes well for the Georgians. Either way, it's the ultimate kind of clash of styles, the stereotypes about the Fijian guys being just the best backs in the world and the Georgians having the best forwards. I don't think either of those is that true anymore, because Fiji's got some bloody good forwards and Georgia's got some better backs than they used to have. Like some of these guys are playing, you know, top 14 rugby. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. You guys let me know your thoughts. How do you reckon this one is going to go? Do you think Fiji or Georgia? Anyway, you guys have any thoughts? Talk to you again soon. See you later.